Welcome to another Advisor Insight series. Today I'm particularly pleased to have Amyr Rocha Lima in from Holland Hahn Wills. I ran into Amyr up at the CISI conference and was really chuffed that he agreed to come in and chat to us. Welcome, Amyr.
Thank you very much, Lee, for inviting me.
No, listen, it's a real pleasure to have you in, as I said. I'm a big admirer of your work. See you on Twitter. I think you're particularly good on Twitter.
I appreciate that.
But more than that, I think from somebody that's getting much longer in the tooth, I think guys like you are the future of our profession, and you are so much further forward at your age than I was. Absolutely.
That's very kindly. And for the benefit of our viewers, I think the sentiment is kindred between us both, but it's actually completely the opposite. I'm an admirer of yours for probably much longer than you realize. So in around 2007, I actually called on your firm as an AXA broker consultant. I was shadowing the senior consultant. I just started in the London branch, and I was just amazed by you and your team. You won't remember me because I was there as a shadow broker consultant, just taking notes. I think we were presenting some sort of family SIP solution to your team.
Right.
And you guys were very innovative because you had, in a couple of years before then, you had brought the investment management in-house, and there was a lot of noise in the press about, hang on a second, why do they think they're discretionary managers? And I remember just soaking all of that up and going, God, why have these guys done this? And what can I take from this in terms of what other firms might do? So I've been a massive admirer of you and your firm and everything you guys have done. It's a complete privilege, and to a certain extent, it's just weird that I was even invited by you, and that respect is mutual. So thank you very much for inviting me. That's so kind.
Well, I'm terribly flattered, and thank you for that. I really appreciate it. So you touched on, back then. How did you get to where you are now? What's been the journey from the AXA part to doing what you're doing now?
Yeah, so as I said, alluded to there, I started off as a broker consultant, but before then, really, I was just finding my feet in life, really. So uni days, just trying to figure out a career. I didn't really know financial planning existed as a profession. I didn't really know what a pension was. I didn't really know what investments were. And I actually applied to AXA because a friend of mine ran the coffee shop inside the AXA headquarters in Bristol.
Wow.
So we used to go for beers. He used to know I was trying to find a career, whatever that meant. And he also knew that the HR people that went for coffees there every day were chatting about the fact that AXA are expanding. So I handed him my CV, he handed it to them. I went through an interview process, and then lo and behold, got put on this IFA, telephone-based IFA support team, just answering questions, answering complaints. Anyway, long story short, I saw in financial planning, or financial services at least, a sector there where I could find a professional career path that led to, that sat alongside a professional examination path. And for me, and I know that exists in other fields, but for me that was novel. For the first time in my life, I saw something where if I passed certain exams in a certain order, not only would I know more about what I was doing, but internally the company would see me as worthy of promotion. So I just went gung-ho, and I went through all of the professional examinations I could, and along the way, thankfully, the company did indeed see in me enough there to promote me from telephone consultant to face-to-face consultant, from Bristol to London, and et cetera, et cetera. So I fell into financial planning through financial services as a generic sort of sector.
Interesting, isn't it, how so many of us did.
Yeah.
It's a really common theme. I sort of fell into it. That's not where I intended to go. So,
absolutely.
So really interesting. So tell me a bit about Holland Hahn Wills.
Yeah, so we are a firm based in Kingston upon Thames. We are a chartered firm, an accredited firm with the CISI. We're big believers in the technical expertise side of financial planning, and we specialize pretty much exclusively in retirement planning for white-collar employees who have been commuting from Kingston, Surbiton, Teddington all their life, and really they've started to ask themselves, do I have enough? Because I've sort of had enough, and we help them figure that out.
Right. That's a part of the world I know fairly well. My second job in financial services was working as a mortgage broker for a bunch of estate agents that had just been bought by the Halifax Group. So I know Surbiton, Tolworth, Kingston, all that era pretty well.
Absolutely, so, It's a nice part of the world. There are a lot of commuters that live in that part of the world, and I think the clients that find us attractive are the ones that really do like working with local independent firms versus some of the big brands or big banks, which, given their earnings, their assets, they have full access to. They just, after they see what we're all about, and the fact that we're local and all live locally, I think there's a sense that they think I'd rather stick with these guys in my team than give my business to sort of a nameless, or sorry, a faceless type organisation.
It's an interesting point, isn't it? I mean, I always had this view that if I did business locally, I still had to be seen in the Sainsbury's by a potential client and not be sort of hiding around the corner because I hadn't done what I was meant to do. And I think this is something that even we were City of London based, but the city, of course, is a neighbourhood. It's interesting that you constantly run into people you know, and you need to be able to hold up your head and say, "I am your professional advisor." It's great to see you.
100%.
And that's not always the case. I was hearing this the other day from someone.
Yeah, no, we bump into clients regularly in Kingston, crossing Kingston Bridge towards Hampton Wick, where our office is, and we want our clients to be advocates for our services in the community.
Yeah.
So we participate in community events, we create community events because we proactively want to seek opportunities to meet people outside our office. So yeah, for us it's a benefit, but there's a lot of work that goes into making sure it's a benefit and it's not something you want to actually hide from.
No, listen, I know we used to run regular breakfasts and client events and stuff, and it is a huge amount of work. But a great way to give something back. It's not just always about seeing you to talk about your money. We can talk about a much more social thing.
That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a bit about how they work then. How big's the team?
Yeah.
Paraplanners in-house or not?
Mm-hmm. So we're 10 strong at Holland Hahn Wills. Although in terms of full-time equivalents, we're probably more like 5 or 6.
Right.
Because we offer flexible working to our team, and a lot of our team are, in fact, more than half of our team are working mums who have children who are probably around the sort of 7, 8, 9 age bracket.
Yep.
So therefore are leading up to some big exams and things like that, and they want to have a work-life balance that ensures they're present in their children's lives. I myself am a parent of 2 children. They're much younger, but still I get to take my daughter to nursery every morning. I get to be home early enough to bathe them, feed them, and just be with them for a while. So we're big believers in this. We don't just pay lip service to it. We want our clients to live the best life they can, and we want our team to be living the best life they can, whatever that means to them. So the way we work is there's 3 planners, and there's 1 managing partner who doesn't see any clients but is responsible for the operations of the business. We then have 2 paraplanners, sort of work as project managers as well, helping us ensure that everything to do with the client is working through the financial planning process. And then the other 4 members of the team are part of the client services team, both for ongoing client servicing and new onboarding client servicing tasks as well.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Good. What are your proudest moments in financial services or in your career?
Yeah.
It's probably a better question.
So there's a couple of things really. I think, and this is only in terms of being able to look in the rear view mirror, but just being conscious of the firms I was calling at and seeing right at the beginning of my career here in London, and just trying to soak up why these folks were doing what they were doing, such as I described my feeling towards your firm at the time. I think that has really held me in good stead, because as the years went by, in my mind, I just saw my future in financial planning at the front end rather than as the middleman servicing financial planners. And I had a much clearer view as to what I wanted to look like as a financial planner and what service I wanted to deliver and what sort of firm I wanted to work at, what sort of efforts I wanted to be putting out there in the community, because I got exposed to it from, as I said, firms like Investment Quorum, which were doing that at the time. So I'm really proud of just serendipity meant that I paid attention to things like that. And I'm also really proud of the sort of technical qualifications, both on the hard facts, the sort of technical qualifications, the professional qualifications as such, and also some of the soft skills that I've proactively picked up over time. You know, at times, Lee, when you're a young financial planner or a young broker consultant, you know, and you have family commitments and everything else, you've got a mortgage, it's hard to take days off to go to a conference or to actually put your hand in your pocket to do the next exam or to go on a 5-day kinder course or something. And I'm super proud that I just soldiered through the trade-off of doing that versus something else, because that's really held me in good stead.
So investing in your own
that's
career.
It. And when the pennies drop, you are forever thankful to yourself that you sacrifice something to invest in yourself. I can absolutely promise every single listener that. The majority of your listeners would have done this themselves, but I'm sure you have quite a few listeners who are still trying to find their own pathway. Invest in yourself. You will never, ever regret that.
No, listen, absolutely. I think one of the things that comes out loud and clear with people I've been interviewing is this curiosity about always seeking to be a little bit better. How do you shave that little edge forward? How do you get that little bit better? How do you get that next exam? And it takes sacrifice,
Yeah.
you know, whether it's time or money, spare time, free time. Listen, I get it.
Yeah.
But from my point of view, the people that I really admire are people who've done it from a very early stage and stuck on.
Yeah.
So we talked about what you're proud of. What do you think is working well in financial planning, or maybe even slightly broader across the sector?
So I'll start with sort of a micro answer to that, which is what's working well for us in the community. Again, like a lot of our listeners, we are a community-based business.
Yep.
We do not plan on conquering England. We have no intention to do that, but we do want to conquer the financial planning and wealth management space in Kingston upon Thames. And we want to be remarkable at that. And I don't say that in an arrogant way. I say that because we really do strive to achieve excellence in our financial planning process and the service we deliver. Right? So what's working well there, funnily enough, is old school business development. Just like I was doing way back when I was walking the roads or the streets of the City of London and calling on firms like yours, it's the same thing, but just translated into 2019. So it's just bringing technology into those efforts, but still it's all about doubling down on being human, meeting up with people, being honest with them about what you can and can't do, and helping them find and see the synergies. Help solicitors see the synergies in working with you. Help accountants see the synergies. Help your clients see why it would be a benefit for them to refer you to other people. But in an old school way, in a sort of a really human way. I mean, I am proactive on Twitter, as you said, but I see that truthfully as entertainment. I think business development, as it stands, it's always been what it has been, and it continues to be so. It's just a human business of going out there, meeting with other people, looking into the white of their eyes, telling your story, hearing their story, and finding that little bit in the middle where everybody wins.
Yeah.
So that's been going well for us locally. And I think in terms of the wider picture for the financial planning profession, there's just a lot of good momentum behind financial planning as a profession. And more you're seeing a lot of experienced people sign up to courses that traditionally they might have thought, well, hang on a second, this is not for me. I've got my financial planning process buttoned down. And there's just a lot of people seeking more financial planning expertise versus just technical expertise. Be that via the CFP pathway in terms of financial planning qualifications, but also these different niche conferences that are out there, folks that are specializing. I see a lot of noise around pensions and divorce. There's a lot of noise around retirement planning.
Later life.
Absolutely. It's just folks that are seeing something that they actually enjoy doing. Some of them have found a personal experience in that, like I have with retirement planning. I saw personally in my own family life what good retirement planning meant when my grandfather passed away. I saw that, and I see that filter through to my father and his siblings, and I see how that will filter down through to me. That's what I take into a financial planning meeting with a client, and I'm just seeing more and more of that out there.
Yep.
And it's just great that there are folks that are creating those mini circles, mini niches around a topic or a couple of topics or a particular area, and there's loads of good planners just flocking towards that.
And do you see that as a natural direction of travel as financial planning is professionalizing, and it has been for a long period of time, as we get more like the traditional professions, where you would have had litigation solicitors, you would have had conveyancing solicitors, you would have had private client solicitors? Do you see that as just a natural progression there?
Yeah, I do.
We're stopping being jacks of all trades, which was probably my era, to be fair. Yeah, I can do equity release. Yes, I can do your pension. Yes, I can do your offshore investment.
Yeah.
Do you think this is, and it's got to be welcome?
I think so. I think that's the next stage in terms of financial planning. And we will see some firms who have the capacity to have those sub-offices inside the big brand, just like big accountancy and big solicitor firms have. But also you'll see firms that on purpose want to be small giants. And they will say, you know, we have expertise in retirement planning. This is what retirement planning means for us. Come and talk to us to see if it's a good fit. And that is it. And they'll be able to just profitably field off other inquiries to other folks who have their own expertise.
And I think that's a lovely thing now. I mean, I've always been lucky. People like Jason Butler and I, way back when, he would occasionally punt a client our way, and from time to time we'd refer clients that didn't fit our model through to another advisor that we liked and trusted. And I think that seems to be a growing trend. Yeah. It's got to be welcome, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, I've been the beneficiary of that from planners I respect, and I've also been only too happy to refer clients who Sometimes it's because of a simple thing like geography would just be better suited to another planner, but sometimes it is expertise. But I'm only too happy to refer where that's required, because in the end, this is a profession where you can do well by doing good. And I really mean that. In fact, I'd highlight that a bit further. You can do really well by doing good. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with you seeking to help the client first. Inevitably, it will mean you run a more profitable business.
Yeah, listen, I absolutely agree. And one of these days I'll tell the story about my very first client at Investment Quorum and how she fought to find me after I'd left my previous company. But anyway, so you're absolutely right. So we talked on what you think is going well. What do you think could be going better? What do you think, what are the headwinds?
Yeah. So for us internally, and I think this is replicated across the country, it's the fact that different systems just don't talk properly to each other. And you know, we have some great systems and great software to use to deliver the retirement planning service we want to deliver, but at the moment, Lee, they don't talk to each other, which means that we're employing people to make those systems manually talk to each other in terms of getting the actual process to run in the background for us to deliver what we want to deliver to the client. I think that is the next paradigm shift that we're going to get in financial planning. I don't think we're far from it happening. I've seen a beta presentation from a particular company which is very promising, and I'm sure that once one person shows that there's enough margin, I think other competitors will be building or just pivoting their software towards helping us get rid of the manual burden of delivering a financial planning service.
That,
Absolutely.
It's interesting. We've got an interview. We've got a guest coming in on Wednesday who's going to talk from the tech end, who consults at that end, who's going to talk very deeply about that. One of the great things about setting this up, and I get it's not a financial planning business, but one of the great things I found is as we sourced our tech partners, quite a lot of the tech we use is coming out of the States, and I get that it's not financial planning, it's perhaps not as technical, but some of it is very technical. And the difference of the way the American tech companies say and our APIs talk to 812 other companies, and they trumpet them, and they will have hot links through to them from their websites. You just don't see it in the UK. No. It's my tech, and we barely talk to them. But we've got an API key if you can find it. Yeah, really? Yeah. So I take your point, and I think that constant rekeying, the potential for error, the time it soaks up in a period of fee compression, or at least fee scrutiny, anything we can do. So listen, I wish you well with that.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yes,
so
indeed.
You think we're almost there?
I think we're almost there, and I think there's an incentive to do that.
There's enough noise now.
And there's enough margin. There is enough recurring income for a company that can try to create a dynamism between a bunch of other softwares. And when they figure that out in terms of a business model, and of course the technology that will enable them to do that, they'll be front runners in that space. And then that means that the planner, the associate planner, the paraplanner, the operations team, they're going to be a lot more focused. So then we're going to see, again, just feeding off what we see in America, we're going to see more of this sort of pyramid style company where you have maybe a lead planner, hunter type role, feeding clients back into the system, but the system being a lot more well oiled, meaning a small independent firm with a niche can service quite a number more folks that they can service today in a profitable manner. And for me, that's optimism. Yeah. I just see that being a wheel that just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and it goes around the country. So more people have access to good financial planning. Might be a sort of a romantic view, but I'd rather see it that way than just look at the problem. So I'm just keen to find the solution that makes these systems talk to each other, and then continue delivering our process in our community.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. Moving further through to one of the parts that I always thought you were particularly good at, the soft skills stuff. Yeah. What do you think are the key characteristics of a good financial planner?
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Lee, and for me that's still a story in the making. I proactively seek knowledge in that side of things. We're calling it soft skills, but I think they're just human skills. I think all of us, I'm definitely guilty of this. At one point in my career, I just focused on the technical skills of being a financial planner, and it wasn't that I didn't believe in the other stuff, I just didn't have any more time, capacity to fit any of that in. So I just wanted to get through exams, bring in all this technical knowledge, the math around financial planning and everything else. And what I found was that sometimes all a client wants is to be able to tell their story.
Yeah.
And you know what, when it comes to their money, they have never told their story to anybody else, ever. Their solicitor has never asked. They only ask for the bits that matter, for the will or for the lasting powers of attorney or for whatever it is. The accountant only asks the numbers that are needed for the tax return or whatever it is. We're the only people who are going, and the only profession who are going, actually, tell me your story Then we'll look at your numbers and we'll match the story with the numbers and we'll tell you what's possible. How about that? And that was a skill that I lacked completely. And when I figured out I lacked that skill, honestly, I'm olive-skinned. I went just red with myself. I went, God, I've done probably quite a few people a disservice because I could have just stopped and listened to their story. So I proactively sought out training that helped me do that.
Yep.
So I think, back to your original question, it's being able to listen to people and then have empathy. Not listen to them in the sort of first tier of listening, which is I'm listening to Lee because I'm waiting for my turn to speak. Also, not listening in the second tier of listening, which is I'm listening to Lee to find the angle in which I can pitch my product. If I filtered that out by only taking clients that fit within my niche, when I'm listening to them, I'm actually just listening to them. And then when I'm doing the numbers work, I'm matching the numbers to what I heard.
Yeah.
And then when I have another meeting with you, Lee, I'm saying, hey, Lee, you told me this in terms of a story. Was that right? Yeah, that's about it, Amyr. Great. Well, we analyze the numbers. This is how it works out. How does that feel? And for the first time ever, clients are going, I want one of those. Whatever I want that thing you're showing me there. What are the next steps? And all you're doing is you're selling them on the concept that you're the professional that can link the dots between their life and their money. With all of the technical skills that we all do, all of the qualifications we all do, but you're doing the thing that other people haven't done, which is just ask a question, shut up, and listen. And then you only do the numbers to match that story and show them the gaps in that story because they're not aware of the gaps themselves. Once you do that, I mean, honestly, every single client we go through that process with, they thank us because they go, nobody has ever showed me that. Look, I sort of knew I had enough, sort of ran my own Excel spreadsheet, but actually now I can see what I can do with my life. And it's not somebody who's friendly with my numbers. This is somebody who challenged me on my numbers, went into the weeds and came out with this plan. So for me, that's the two biggest skills that we have as financial
Incredibly
planners.
powerful, isn't it?
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And as I said, nobody's doing that. Not even their spouses are doing that.
No.
It's that powerful.
Now, listen, I'm with you on this. This is a terrible analogy, but a very early manager, a guy I respected hugely who sadly recently died, had this thing. He said, sit on the same side of the table. He said, and he said it's not some kind of voodoo trick. It is you're both looking the same way at the same stuff. And I thought, and to this day I do it. I mean, I know we're sitting face to face, but that's because of cameras and stuff. But my favourite discussion is still side by side with people. Because I think you just have a much closer connection.
Absolutely, yeah. And then when they see that your philosophy around investing is of a particular ilk, when your philosophy around what you're showing them in terms of financial planning is linked to their life, there's no conversation around, but I believe in active investing, or I believe in passive investing, whatever it is. They don't care about that anymore. Now, I don't mean they don't care, they're just going to trust you implicitly. I also don't want that from my clients. I want them to go, actually tell me a little bit more about that. I just want to see if that's as good as the other thing you've shown me.
There is nothing more worrying than when a client says, I'll just do what you say.
I'm with you.
Yeah, there's
100%.
nothing more worrying. You just know further down the line there's going to be
That's it. Yeah.
real trouble.
Yeah, so we get our clients to do a lot of homework. We get them to do some heavy lifting. We want them to feel they're part of the process. But they just see it linearly filters through. Of course they invest in this way because of what they did up front. And of course these are their charges because nobody else has talked to me about investing this way and nobody else has shown me what my money can actually do for me. So it's just a linear conversation. As I said, even that is storytelling and also it's developing your business in a way that previous, 300 years worth of business development has happened. You just bring it into 2019 or 2020 eventually.
Making it human.
That's it.
You did touch on, as we wander towards the end, and I could sit here for hours, and actually I'm going to get you back. We're going to have lunch or something. But as we wander back, you touched on your investment beliefs. Do you have particular investment beliefs?
Yeah, so we run an evidence-based investment strategy in-house. Our main investment partners are Dimensional Fund Advisors and Vanguard. And we, as in myself and my business partners, we come with decades of cynicism towards the investment management conversation. And I think that's where we found enough empirical evidence to make it into an investment strategy where we want to invest our own pension money. That's it. It's as simple as that. We can justify this from every single angle for our clients, and not only that, but every employee in our company, including the ones that we have helped retire, them and their partners, they're invested in the same strategy, which is a strategy that's based on evidence, on empirical evidence, and that's been documented and actually challenged for over 50 years.
Great, thank you.
My pleasure.
Final question: Who do you feel, which firm or person do you think is a beacon of excellence across our sector? Not necessarily planning. Who do you think is an organisation or a person or people that you really, really admire and think are setting the pace?
I think Paradigm Norton as a firm,
Yeah.
they have a really good feeling about them, and I want to start with feeling to answer that question. The way they position themselves online, the way the members of their team behave and behave is the wrong word, the way they act, the way they are when I meet with them. I've just got a lot of respect for some of the key people inside Paradigm Norton
Barry
as
and
well.
Ruth
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I just think that the way they deliver their service to their clients, which I have had a chance to have a brief look at, I think I respect that a lot. So in terms of a firm that I look up to, and I would like to make sure we're modelling our firm to look and feel and deliver like they do, for sure, Paradigm Norton are one of those.
Great, lovely.
Yeah.
Amyr, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure, Lee. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thanks for joining us for another Advisor Insight series. Genuinely, I could have sat here talking for hours, so we'll get Amyr back, I'm sure. We look forward to talking to you again.